The White House might lift a Trump-era order that made it much easier for border officials to send tens of thousands of migrants back into Mexico during the COVID-19 pandemic. Under that policy, known as Title 42, thousands of children separated themselves from their families to get into the U.S. CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga sat down with Ruben Garcia, who runs a volunteer shelter network that takes in refugees and migrants.
Title 42 was used not for medical reasons, it was used for enforcement reasons. It was a way to give Border Patrol an additional tool to expel everyone, which simplified the process. There was minimal processing, and then you just expel everybody. You just pick them up, expel, 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 and that was done all along the border on both the southern and the northern border of the United States.
And Nicole joins us now with more from El Paso, Texas, right near the border with Mexico. So Nicole, why is the Biden administration considering lifting Title 42, and who will this policy change likely impact?
Yeah, great question, Vlad. Good to be with you. You heard Ruben Garcia there that this policy has led to expel, 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 and that has led to a lot of pushback from immigration advocates who say, you know, this public health authority should not be blocking a legal right to apply for asylum in the United States. And so what we're hearing from Biden administration officials and immigration advocates alike, Vlad, is that the policy is going to change by the end of July, and it's going to allow families, migrant families traveling across the border to apply for asylum in the United States as opposed to being expelled back into Mexico. That is obviously, you know, going to change the dynamic for so many families right now in the Northern Triangle, making that very difficult decision over whether or not they want to flee their home in the wake of gang violence, natural disasters, and economic hardship. And Ruben and officials that I've spoken with here in El Paso, they do point out that even though we've seen this Title 42 public health authority, which has blocked much of the migration into the United States, even though we've seen restrictions on non-essential travel, just foot traffic across the international bridges here in El Paso between El Paso and Juarez, you know, there are still tens of thousands of individuals who cross over the U.S. Mexico border every single day, routinely, right? And so the question becomes, if the Biden administration lifts Title 42 for families, you know, where does the argument go that this policy was put into place at the beginning of the pandemic to stop the spread of the coronavirus?
So we've reported at CBS News that Title 42 has actually been enforced kind of, let's say, inconsistently across the border. I thought to myself, upon hearing that, it would probably weaken its ability to be a tool of a discouragement. If people are going to come, if they don't know whether or not they're going to be stopped. How has it impacted asylum seekers entering the country near El Paso, where you are?
Yeah, Anne-Marie, it's a good point. And for many, human traffickers that we've seen, and even some migrants themselves, it has changed, not only, the flow of migration, but also the route that they take into the United States. And for example, about 600 miles southeast of here in Donna, Texas, they've seen a lot more migrant families. And that's because across the border from Donna is Tamaulipas. And that state in Mexico has essentially banned the expulsion of families with tender-age children, so children who are 7 or under the age of 7. And for that reason, we did see Border Patrol earlier this year, over the past few months, loading migrant families into planes. There were 2 planes that would come to El Paso every day. And from here, actually, those migrant families would be expelled back into Mexico, into Juarez, across the border. And so you can see how some of the changes, some of the differences in policy, differences in practices, not only on the U.S. side, but on the Mexican side, have, contributed to some of the, routes in which migrants take to come into the United States. Now, interestingly enough, Ruben did tell me that starting this week, he has seen, the planes that are arriving in El Paso, they're no longer expelling those migrant families back into Mexico, back into Ciudad Juarez across the border. They are allowing them to seek asylum in the United States. We'll see if that becomes a long-term practice.
So, Nicole, how are non-government organizations and other facilities that help migrants along the border preparing for this Title 42 policy shift?
Yeah, well, Ruben Garcia told me that right now he is eating, sleeping, drinking, living Title 42. But, to take a step back from before the pandemic began, these routine, you could call them spikes, in migration, are not entirely uncommon. We saw an uptick in the number of migrant families seeking asylum back in 2014. We saw it again in 2018 and 2019. And Ruben Garcia has been working at the Annunciation House for over 40 years. So he says this is cyclical, but, because he's done this rodeo before, he's very concerned about what it could mean for migrant families, working very hard to make sure that no one has to sleep on the street when they are released by U.S. authorities, and given a notice to appear, and then they have a waiting period before, they appear in court to sort of place their asylum claim. And, so for that reason right now, Ruben has been calling up a lot of churches in the area. I know a lot of other NGO leaders have been coordinating around them to make sure that they have enough beds so that once these individuals start coming in, what they perceive will be an uptick in the number of migrant families coming in if Title 42 is altered, they will be able to receive those families. I want to play a clip of Ruben explaining, in real terms, what this meant for him back in 2018. Take a listen.
You need to remember that in 2018, 2019, during that fiscal year, 150,000 refugees were released. Okay? They were releasing on a daily basis. I would receive texts from ICE that said, Ruben, today we're releasing 300 refugees. Where do you want us to take them? Today we're releasing 500 refugees. There were 2 days when I got a text in which they said, today we're releasing over 1,000 refugees in one day. Okay? And so, chaos comes in when the numbers that are being released exceed the capacity of your NGO networks along the border. Okay? So we're right now very busy making contact with all of the churches that are able to provide space.
Yeah, and you hear it there, Vlad, Ruben Garcia talking about, the painstaking process of trying to rally around a network of churches and nonprofits to ready for this policy change.
So what about the Department of Homeland Security? How is the department preparing for the possible lifting of Title 42?
Yeah, well, you heard Ruben there, Anne-Marie, say that they are hoping there will not be this chaos. And in many ways, DHS does have that same goal. One of the preparations here, making sure that migrants have a place to go when they are awaiting their court date. Now, there is, a challenge in accommodating families, and that's because a lot of the ICE detention centers that typically hold even some of these asylum seekers are filling up. Listen to this. The number of migrants being held in detention centers has nearly doubled in recent months as border apprehensions have risen. That's according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement data. More than 26,000 people were in detention last month, compared with just about 14,000 in April. We've also seen a real effort by DHS to vaccinate its own population migration, CBP agents, ICE agents. I was just reminded that, there has been a loss of life due to COVID-19 because of, all of, the exposure to the virus. And so trying to make sure that the staff here is prepared for that, given the fact that we do have a lot of vaccines on this side of the border, but they may not. Families who are entering from Central America, Latin America might be more at risk. And so there is concern about, keeping all of those families in close proximity. And for that reason, they have been launching pilot programs in places like Donna, Texas, and the Rio Grande Valley to try to, track migrants differently. They've been using ankle bracelets, cell phones, in order to develop alternatives to detainment, for a lot of these migrant families. They're also getting some help from the National Guard. We expect 3,000 guardsmen to come to the U.S. Mexico border, in addition to their presence already here now come September. And you can see that I'm actually standing outside of an Army Reserve Center. We're here on National Guard property. We're about to go to a press conference, a Se Busca press conference, which discusses some of the cooperation between U.S. and Mexican authorities as they seek out the most wanted criminals here on the U.S. Mexico border. We're going to be talking about drug trafficking, human trafficking, cartels, and some of the gang violence, trying to get rid of some of the root causes of migration. And so you could just see how much is on the plate of a lot of these border agents here in El Paso. They've got a lot to deal with here. So, there is concern about, a divided attention with an uptick in migration, but getting support from the National Guard as well.
All right, Nicole, thank you very much.